Well, thank you very much for that, Nick, and thank you all for turning out tonight. It's an amazing attendance, it really is. Thank you for taking the time and the interest to come to our first 9/11 Truth meeting in Lancaster. I just want to say a few words about the campaign, basically saying why we're doing what we're doing. I hope that's become patently obvious to you all tonight, and also what we can do, because sometimes it can be a bit daunting. You sort of look at these things and think, well, what can I do individually? David and I both used to work for MI5, and we both ended up blowing the whistle, going on the run from them. So we both do know what we're up against, but it's really a message of hope. And the reason I'd say why we need to do this, why we need to engage with the issue of 9/11, despite the fact that it's an event that happened many years ago in a land far, far away, is that it is continuing to have repercussions around the world and also in our day-to-day lives. I mean, look what's happened. 9/11 has been used as a pretext for an illegal war. Well, two wars in the Middle East, one of them definitely, absolutely illegal. And also, as a result of the war in Iraq, the UN estimates that 650,000 innocent people have been killed in Iraq. You turn on the news and you see on a virtually daily basis, massive car bombs are going off over there. I mean, we're talking car bombs which kill and maim way more people than were hit by the 7/7 attack in London last year. So we're looking at an illegal war, we're looking at innocents dying on a daily basis. But also, they are using it as a pretext to erode our traditional freedoms in this country, our traditional liberties, all the things that we used to pride ourselves on as a country. The idea that you could have a fair trial in front of a jury of your peers, that's gone. You can be put in prison now, you can be interned, effectively, on the whim, the say-so of shadowy figures within the intelligence services. People can be kidnapped and flown off to torture camps abroad, and that's known euphemistically in the press as extraordinary rendition. That's caused a bit of a fuss as well. People are just disappearing and going off and being tortured, and they vanish as human beings. And in fact, from what I can see in the press, some of the people that we used to work with will be participating in those sessions. We're looking at people perhaps Dave and I used to know and count as friends, perhaps went out for a drink with, like tonight, who are standing outside the doors of these cells where people are being tortured. I mean, this is an erosion of basic human dignity that is fast approaching, that could threaten all of us. We're also looking at a whole raft of legislation that the Labour Party, intriguingly, are pushing through in this country. They've brought through so many new laws, particularly anti-terrorism laws, which take away our basic rights. We can be stopped and searched at will. We can, again, now I think they've brought in a law, they're proposing a law, which means that we, as UK citizens, can be interned without trial in this country. I mean, it's frightening the scale of what they're trying to do. But it's not just the anti-terrorism legislation. There's all sorts of other laws that have gone through pretty much on the nod from our quiescent politicians. Things like the Civil Contingency Act that went through a couple of years ago. That basically means that a minister, any minister, can declare a state of emergency. And that means that they can quarantine us if there's an outbreak of bird flu or whatever the latest flap is. They can stop us moving freely around the country. They can stop us protesting freely in our own country. And even to the extent that if they decide to sequester your house and demolish it, under the Civil Contingency Act, a minister can decide that you won't get any money back for what they choose to do to you. Now, nobody really grasped what this act meant when it went through Parliament. I don't think most of the MPs even knew. They were just told to go vote for it. Have a look at it on the internet. It is frightening. And there's also another one, which I usually call the Abolition of Parliament Bill, which they didn't get through in Parliament last year. They are trying to ram it through again. I think its official title is the Legislative and Regulatory Reform Act. Again, this is another act that gives sweeping draconian powers to any government minister. So again, at the stroke of pen, they can overthrow any other legislation that has been approved by our parliamentary representatives. Like I said, Parliament chucked it out last year, but have a look at it on the internet, because this is frightening. Any government minister can just overthrow any of our basic rights if this bill becomes law in the next year or so. And that is the way they are going in this country. Let alone before we start talking about things like ID cards and where that might take us. They want to control us, and they want sweeping powers. What a man, what a man, what a man, what a mighty good man.